Hi there. I'm on my way, I'm making it. I've got to make it show.
Oh crap.
Howdy folks, second video in one day again. I was going back through some of my old videos, my first videos, and I realized that I haven't told any stories in about forever. And so I thought I'd do one now, since I'm sitting here with nothing to do and I'm bored and all that. And there's something else that I have been neglecting to do, and that is to say thank you very, very much to all of my subscribers, and especially those of you who have signed up since the last time I did a thank you. And once again say that I do read every message, every comment, etc. I got to get caught up on the videos some of y'all have sent me, but it's amazing how somebody can end up being busy when they're basically spending most of their time hanging out in bed. But that's just what happened. So I got to get caught up on some of that, but I will. And so thank you very, very much. I am extremely honored and gratified by those of you who find my babbling interesting enough to subscribe to, even though it hasn't been very entertaining as of late. It's just been me doing updates and stuff like that. So let's have a story. This is kind of karmic in its, not comic, although it is comic, but karmic as in karma. But it starts out about a week after I got over to my duty station in Sigonella, Sicily, in the Marine Corps. I was sitting there in the E Club watching a movie, and you know, they had the lights out and the movie was running, and they stopped the movie and turned on the lights and announced that they needed people with A negative blood or O negative blood. O negative is a universal donor, if I've got that right, because Mount Etna had erupted. Mount Etna is the volcano, very, very active volcano there in Sicily. It had erupted and sent a baseball-sized chunk of magma way up into the air and in a trajectory, and it had crashed through some poor fella's windshield and landed in his stomach. Not on his stomach. It had penetrated and landed inside his body, and basically had done a pretty good job of barbecuing his insides. So he was in real bad shape and needed a lot of blood. So there ended up being myself and 6 others in the club who had the requisite blood types. And so they piled us all in an ambulance and sent us down there to the Garibaldi Hospital in Catania. And that's where I got my real first taste. Remember, I'd only been in Sicily for a week. That's where I got my real first taste of some of the cultural differences between different regions of the world. Every time the ambulance stopped, the side windows on the ambulance were frosted glass, except for a thin little strip that ran near the top of the ambulance on both sides. And every time we stopped because of traffic or whatever, and I mean, we were going lights, sirens, and everything. Just people didn't move much, you know. But every time we stopped, all these people would, everybody that was nearby would come and look in the ambulance through these little clear areas of glass to see who was all messed up and how, you know, all that. And of course, none of us were. We were all just sitting in there trying to get to the hospital there in Catania as fast as we could so we could donate blood. Well, we finally got down to the Garibaldi Hospital, and first thing, I'm gonna show you all this. First thing is, I've got veins that nurses just love. I'm gonna use my blood pressure cuff here to show y'all. My veins just pop out. They're so easy to stick, it's ridiculous. So I'm gonna let this pump up, and then I'll be able to show you why nurses love my veins. Okay, check out my arm here. This is why nurses love my veins. Okay, so anyway, we get down there and they take a pint of blood from me, and then this nurse that was older and overweight and not real attractive starts saying stuff to me in Italian, and I can't understand a thing she's saying. I don't understand any Italian at that point. She doesn't know any English, and I'm just kind of going on. I have no clue what you're saying. And she tells me to wait, and then runs off. I mean, literally runs off, and comes back dragging this, oh geez, this beautiful young nurse. Italians are beautiful people, and this nurse was right at the top of the, I mean, gorgeous. And she starts babbling at me in Italian, and I can't understand anything she says either, but it was a lot more entertaining to watch. Well, it turns out finally I figured out that what they wanted was a second pint of blood. Now, I got 10 pints of blood in my body, so what they're asking for is me to give them 1/5 of my total blood volume. And I said no. And then got the translation that this pretty nurse would give me a nice kiss if I gave him another pint of blood. So I alright, and I went ahead and gave him another pint of blood. And, well, the kiss was on the cheek. So, and my buddies had to help me back out to the ambulance because I was basically passing out, you know, if I was standing up. But there was karma in that. The guy's life was saved. They had to do extensive surgery, and I guess they had to remove a lot of his intestines and such like that, but he did survive. And A negative blood is not the rarest in the world, but there's only 6% of the population has it, so it is pretty rare. So, now here comes the karma part. About a year later is when I got shot. Now, when I got shot, the bullet went in here, went out my back, and on the way through, it collapsed. It put a hole in the right lung and cut the azygos vein, which is a vein about the size of, well, your finger. And in the process, I mean, I lost, before they got the holes patched up in me, I lost 14 pints of blood. 4 of the ones they poured into me fell out before they got the holes closed up. So, and I ended up at the Garibaldi Hospital, because the little hospital there on the base in Sigonella wasn't big enough to deal with my injury. There was only 3,000 people on that base, so it wasn't big enough to deal with. They just didn't have the equipment to deal with the major surgery that I required. So I ended up over at the Garibaldi Hospital for them to operate on me. And I got my blood, not my blood, but I got the transfusions of blood back 7-fold. Now, I think there's something biblical about that, because I got 14 pints of blood. I'd given 2, I got 14 when I needed it. But yeah, I got, same hospital, all of that. I actually died when I was shot there in the ambulance ride to the base hospital. No blood pressure, no pulse, no respiration, pupils fixed and dilated, went gray and was getting cold. And they managed to revive me and start pouring some blood into me, and airlifted me over to the Garibaldi Hospital for the surgery. So, but yeah, I mean, there's karma for you. They asked me for a pint of blood, then they asked me for a second pint of blood, and due to men being weird and hormonally driven at that age, I was 17 at the time. I'm sorry, I was 18 at the time. A kiss from a pretty nurse was worth giving an extra 10% of my blood to. I would have been just vampire bait for any of these gorgeous vampires they've got on the movies and stuff these days. Anyway, so there's karma for you, and the biblical, you'll receive whatever you give 7-fold. That worked out perfectly. And I don't remember any of that. They shipped me up to Naples to the hospital up there before I woke up. I was shot on a Sunday morning. I woke up on a Wednesday afternoon. So, but yeah, an overweight older nurse babbling at me in Italian didn't have any effect on me. But you get a young, pretty nurse babbling at me in Italian, and it's like, oh yeah, hey, you can have, do you want more blood? Here, take more blood. And then it came back, karmic, through karmic or physical or however you want to look at it. It came back on me when I needed it. Because I had been one of those who had helped save that other gentleman's life. So there's a little, I don't know if that's a moral lesson or just a story or what? But boy, 18 years old. I can still see that nurse's face, man. She was gorgeous. She was a doll. And it was there instead of there. Oh well, what you gonna do? Anyway, there's a little story for you. I'll try to have more stories as time comes on, because that's the main thing I signed up on YouTube for. But there's one for you. So, y'all have a good day, and I will holler at y'all later. Take it light, everybody.